Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the premiere episode of Super Sports School's Gameplay. Before I get into anything that you can be expecting from the show, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Collins Manyame, but I also go by the name of Skara, and I'm delighted and honored to be the voice of this show. I've been involved in esports for quite some time now. I'm a professional esports commentator, providing a voice for some of the biggest esports titles on the continent. I'm also a Twitch streamer in my spare time, just to entertain the folks here and there. But alongside that, I'm also proud to say that I work for one of the biggest esports companies on the continent, that being ACGL. It brings me absolute delight and ecstasy to present this show, a show that not only highlights the beautiful culture that is esports, but alongside that, shedding light on its rapid growth at a local level. Gameplay is a brand new esports show that keeps you in the know of all things esports, catching up weekly with high school and university esports locally, more specifically the ACGL schools and university leagues, more specifically known as the ASL and AUL leagues, catching up weekly with the results as well as recent updates and opportunities within the space, catching interviews with representatives from said universities as well as schools that are involved in the space. And alongside that, we'll be getting the opportunity to talk to and highlight our local esports heroes and also outlining their best moments within the local esports industry and sharing their best moments, while also catching you up with the latest news, updates, and opportunities so you do not miss out on anything. Now let's get into the recent catch-up for our ACGL Schools League, aka ASL, as well as AUL. Moving on, last weekend we ran a tournament for 64 students at Rise Accommodation in Cape Town CBD. We had students from CPUT, UCT, Varsity College, and many others competing for a prize pool of 1,000 Rand, allowing for the individuals just to get a taste of what it is to be in the gaming industry. Term 2 action as well has kicked off for our ASL leagues, and ACGL have been broadcasting various titles for the past few weeks in this month. And alongside that, we've been broadcasting games such as Fortnite, Minecraft, Rocket League, as well as even Valorant. So for people that are maybe confused and want more insight on what sort of ASL entails, ASL as well as AUL have been leagues that have been running for the past 2 years now. ACGL have aimed to allow for esports to be growing at a grassroots level and allowing for more and more people at these lower levels from primary school, high school, as well as university to get involved and understand more of what esports is and how to sustainably grow within the industry. ASL and AUL have been providing leagues for these various titles, almost 11 different titles, as mentioned, one of them being Minecraft, Valorant, as well as even Rocket League, and many more. And it's only continuing to grow with every single week. As we speak now, we are sitting at 160 schools signed up officially on our ASL website, and it just continues to grow even more with each passing time. And as we speak, it is truly a competitive and amazing environment for all those involved. And we are delighted to say, if you do want to catch any action from these leagues, make sure you head over to twitch.tv/African Esports or youtube.com/supersportschools so you can catch some of that action when it does air. And moving on, in addition, we've had the ACGL team had pop-up activation at Herzliya High School midway through April, and alongside that a few weeks later, having a pop-up activation at Paul Boys High School, allowing for the kids to play on high-end equipment just to get a taste again of what it feels like to be playing on this equipment, getting to play their favorite games while also creating memories within that space. So we understand this is a brand new space for a lot of people, and there are a lot of people getting involved. We recently got an opportunity to chat to one of the teachers from Paul Boys High School, one of the schools with our biggest participants in the ASL leagues. We got to catch up and understand what are their goals and ambitions within the space, as well as understanding what drives their love for esports. Let's take a look.
I'm actually the cat teacher, but we started esports for last year. We never had had esports before. We just started new last year, so yeah, it's the first for Boys Eye. For me as a teacher, I've been gaming like from primary school and up, so I really started enjoying gaming, and I just realized the opportunity. And then JH actually reached out to me, asked if we had, said we haven't had it, but we can start something, and he helped me and guided me quite a lot, and this is where we are now today with you guys. So yeah, we would definitely want to upgrade until we have an esports lab, at least where we can have 5 versus 5 games and training days during the day, so we can actually start training against each other. Currently our boys are only playing online from homes, which makes it a little bit more difficult since all the updates and load shedding and all that, but we're working on a plan currently. My favorite esports moment since I started playing is nights like this, where the boys just come and they enjoy themselves. We realize that we have commentators, and we see all the kids taking leadership actually in their teams and developing all this necessary skill for 21st learner. So yeah, very excited about that. I've definitely seen a lot of communication skills and also the creative parts of the learners, and then also the problem solving that goes along with playing esports in general, and playing as a team together, and also leadership that's coming out quite a lot. And yeah, that makes me excited to see boys who doesn't necessarily always feature in schools, but this creates a perfect opportunity for them to take some ownership and leadership and grow as boys ready to go out in society. So I would definitely like to make esports a definite sports at Paul Boys Eye. Currently we are only just a club, so we are looking forward to the times that come and the sport to grow as we develop the learners, as we create a space, as we reach out to other schools to play with us and create an environment where we can actually grow together and be recognized as a big sports school in esports. My biggest challenge so far since we started esports was actually just the transport and getting a location to start playing. But with ACGL, we started actually like hosting an event like this, making it a lot easier for us to participate. So we don't necessarily have the facilities, but you guys has been doing great, helping us to facilitate nights like this.
So moving into our esports catch-up. A few weekends back, we had Comic-Con Cape Town take place. Among all the geek, gaming and cosplay galore, we had one of the biggest esports competitions take place, that being the Red Bull Kumite qualifiers, which will be taking place, the grand final, in Paris next year, 2025. This was a historic event that came with many upsets locally, but also a little inspirational moment where we had even a 39-year-old individual compete in said event, showing that even he could still stand toe-to-toe against the competitors. At the end of it all, Mark the Shark came out on top after battling it out against 127 other participants. He will have an all-expenses paid trip to Paris next year to represent South Africa in the next Red Bull Kumite. Let's take a look at that footage.
Qualifier for South Africa here at Comic-Con 2024.
Man, I'm really looking forward to seeing Mark the Shark.
Mark the Shark already showing that JP is not a menace that you have to worry about. Let's get it.
This might be it.
This might be it. This is it. He walks into reversal. New Red Bull Kumite champion.
The Shark is going to Paris.
Truly a moment that gives me chills even to this day as well. Absolutely amazing and historical event that we witnessed at Comic-Con Cape Town. But moving on to the next, we saw the kickoff of another season of the Rocket League Championship Series for the Sub-Saharan African region. A global series in which the best Rocket League teams in each region compete for a spot at the majors, which each boast a prize pool of almost, get this, $255,000, which equates to a whopping 4.7 million rand. And this past weekend, we had Major 2 Qualifier 5 for the SSA region take place for a whopping $24,000 on the line for these teams, which is valued at almost 410,000 rand. a weekend jam-packed with top-level Rocket League action where we saw Team Mobula take down Limitless in a 4-2 victory in the playoffs grand finals and saw themselves walk away with $6,000 in their back pocket for their first place finish, making it their second regional win. Let's take a look at that winning moment.
Completely lost my point, so never mind what we were talking about yesterday, because this match is done and dusted. Limitless have been eliminated in the grand final. Team Mobula win their second regional championship on the trot.
That is huge for them, and I think that they did deserve it, especially in those last few games. It was so good, and I mean, Greg, you're probably gonna.
Truly amazing scenes for Team Mobula, who pick up their second regional win for the RLCS season so far. But following that, we had 4 South African Fortnite Pro players qualify for the Fortnite Championship Series Major Qualifier 3, a feat extremely difficult due to how high the ping they play on, but against the odds, they prevailed and continue to push the boundaries of what is possible locally. These legends go by the name of Neymar, Psycho, Aviva, as well as Bojo. Keep these names in mind as they are the future of esports locally. And following that, we had South African Call of Duty pro player Kovs compete internationally with his team to go on and win the Europe Call of Duty League Challenger 7 Cup, showing the world what talent and potential we possess down in South Africa. That's going to be all for our catch-up. If you'd like to catch any of the action or esports tournaments locally going forward, make sure you catch us on twitch.tv/African Esports or on twitch.tv/ACGL Alpha. But now it's time for our game chat with our special guest. We caught up with pro Street Fighter 6 player Jabbi M. So stick around as that interview is coming through after the short break. Welcome back, everyone. Now introducing my special guest. He's a 2-time Capcom qualifier, a 4-time Red Bull Hit the Streets champion. He's competed in the first African-hosted Red Bull Kumite and completed the ultimate underdog story after taking down Takedo. He signed to the prestigious Goliath Gaming as a pro Street Fighter 6 player. The man, the myth, the legend, Jabbi Mabuza, aka Jabbi M. Jabbi, how are we doing today?
Nah, I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm fantastic, man. It's such a pleasure having you here, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. But, diving right into things. So, esports locally is not really a massive culture or tradition like it is in many regions around the world.
Yeah.
It's a lot more niche, we understand that.
Yeah.
What got you into the industry and how did you find yourself competing in fighting games?
When it comes to fighting games, I've always... there's always that itch that you want to you want to beat someone.
Yeah, you want to go a step above.
Yeah, I don't want to play like your team-based games. I wanted to beat my other opponent. Like I just wanted to play other people. And I actually started like in the arcades back in the days because I'm from Alexandra Township.
Yeah.
I started in the arcades. I got to the point where I was beating everybody in the arcade. I started going from one arcade to another arcade, just to look for competition. But as you said. Unfortunately, the stereotype kicked in and they said, you know what, you're getting too old for games. You need to look at something else, But, there's something like kept on saying like, no, there's something big
just
here,
keep, Yeah, just keep pushing, yeah.
One day I opened up Facebook. Rush was hosting a Street Fighter 5 tournament. I went there. I was like, no, I can get guys there. And I'd never played Street Fighter 5. When I got there, I beat most of the guys until I got to the guys that actually owned the game.
Oh,
So the guys that own the game beat me completely, and then it just revitalized something, where I was like, okay, now I want to now beat these guys,
Yeah.
I'm the most saltiest person on earth, you see.
And I think that's a key thing as well for what also gets you to the top is just that thing in you that kind of just drives you to want to be the best, want to stay at the top. So I can understand that. And I feel like that really plays well, especially into what fighting games is, where it's always that 1v1. You want to be the best. You want to beat people. You want to come out on top, you know? And that's a beautiful story. But I think moving on to another side of things, I mean, you actually touched on it as well, you know, being from Alexander. You know, not many people understand that you're from the township and, you know, you kind of, you made it out. But talk us through your struggles that you experienced and how that kind of had an influence in your come up in esports.
Okay, the first thing is obviously some of the consoles I didn't have access to. You know, Street Fighter V was a PS4 exclusive or PC. I only had like a PS3, you see. So I was trying to practice for the upcoming tournaments using older games, you know, and then go and try my luck. Unfortunately, it didn't get me to that level. So what I then did is, well, I met a guy called Luca. You know, when he found out how I practice, he then called me over. He's like, no, you'll start coming to my place to practice. Then from there, I got a job in IT. My first pay, you know, I bought a plasma TV and Street Fighter. I wasn't enough to buy the console, but I bought the plasma TV, Street Fighter, and then the following month I bought the PS4.
And it's just the one step that you get there, you know? And that's, I think, that's also the one thing a lot of people also like don't understand with some people in esports is just their sort of path that they take to get to where they are. And I think that's also like the biggest part about sharing your story is like showing people that it's not about just making that instant jump, you know? Sometimes you have to take those necessary steps to get to where you actually want to be. And you know, it's, as you said, it's those little steps. It's like getting that job, you know, getting that first plasma TV, getting the game. You didn't even have the console yet. And then you get the console, you know? So it's like that slow and steady growth that kind of got you to where you were. And I think that's also like, I think it's a sweet feeling inside of you as well. You know, you can kind of just look back on your journey and how you actually got there as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. When you finally get that break, you know, like 2019 when I won Red Bull Hit the Streets, you know, and I got the opportunity to fly overseas to Japan, you know, I mean, that was, first of all, my first flight going to Cape Town was through gaming, you know, that tournament.
Yeah.
Now I'm about to see a visa for the first time to go overseas. You know, imagine me going home to show my grand, like this is what a visa looks like, you know.
Yeah.
My grand sat me down and was like, you know what, you're the first person in our family to ever travel outside of the country, you know. She couldn't, she was always there, like, you know, giving me the money to go to games, you know, to go to the arcades, you know, she was always behind. So now for her seeing that, oh snap, the local arcades built this kind of person, you know.
Yeah.
It's a sweet feeling.
Definitely, man. You know, and for me as well, who's also got involved in esports, also with a slightly disadvantaged background, you know, it is such a sweet and humbling feeling to know that your grind actually got you here. You know, something that people would have never thought would do anything for you has actually got you to the point where you've seen the visa, you're able to share it with your family, you know, you're able to go overseas, you know, it's such a beautiful thing. And I think now what I want to also be able to share is, you know, seeing as you're obviously from that background where you were disadvantaged and you didn't, you know, have access to some things that you do have access to now, you know, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe in a similar or maybe relatable situation currently on how they can get into esports or maybe just get involved and, you know, start working their way into getting into the scene?
I think they need to look at it like this. It's one step at a time. You know, you're not gonna, and people who always ask me, you know, how do I become the best? And they want me to coach them. I always tell them, like, you know, listen, I can't coach you because you need to go through the struggles of trying to figure something out. I say I can advise you, but coaching is more like you jumping steps. You need to take it one step at a time. You know, get stuck, try figure a way out. It could be life, you know, like for me, I was stuck with life. I couldn't get, you know, the console, got the job, then I had to, and then I knew that, okay, I need to first get the plasma TV, I need to get the game, I need to get the console, and then from there, I need to pay for internet. You know, it was all one step at a time. You know, and then from there, the practice starts kicking in. You know, you start looking at, okay, what are the pros doing that I'm not doing? You know, how do I do this? How do I do this in a match? It's the same as FIFA. If you lose the ball anywhere in the field, you need to now go back and say, okay, how did I lose this ball? You know, then you start now formulating strategies around that. So for people getting into esports, they need to know which side they want to get into it and take one step at a time. You know, if it's Valorant, you're going to have to buy, the PC, one part at a time.
Yeah.
You know, you'll eventually get there.
Yeah, and I think you say something so important there is just taking it one step at a time and just not trying to rush it. You know, I think that's the one thing people see, especially when you look at things like at a international level. You know, people will see, oh, you know, FaZe Clan is doing this, or this player is earning this amount of money, but we don't understand sometimes the process it actually is to get to that point, you know? And that's why it's so important to take things one step at a time, you know, making sure that, okay, cool, I want to start competing in Street Fighter 6, or I want to start competing in Tekken. What are the steps I need to get there? Okay, I need a monitor, I need a TV. Okay, cool, I need the console, you know, I need the game. And then from then on, it's like, okay, cool, how do we work through that? And I mean, also the most important thing is actively trying to learn and never feeling like, you know, you're the best, there's nothing more to learn. It's like just making sure you have that mindset of you constantly want to grow. I think that's also what's got you to the point where you are now, is that you're someone that isn't just stagnated where you're like, you know, I'm good where I'm at. I want to keep growing, I want to keep moving forward, you know?
Yeah, you know, I always also tell people that you need to have a goal, you know, and then after you complete the goal, you have another one, you know, because when I started, my goal, when I got the game, the console and everything, my goal was, okay, and it has to be a realistic one, you know. So I said, okay, I got it in April, you know, April 2018, April, and then I said, okay, by December 2018, I need to be able to beat the best in SA.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole bunch of, that's a lot of months for me to actually put in the work in, you know, to get to this point. And I understood I need to work twice as hard because I'm starting late. You know, I need to put in twice the hours because I'm starting late, you know. And even when I eventually beat the best in SA, I was like, okay, now I need to elevate this. I need to now beat the best in the world. You know, I need to now compete at a high level. The first time I went overseas, I got absolutely destroyed, you know. Came back and I was like, no, I'm going back again, you know. And when I had that mindset, the floodgates opened, you know. And then eventually 2023, they came to us. And my first match, lo and behold, was one of the living legends from Japan, Tokido. And I managed to beat him on home ground, you know. If you were there, you would see the crowd just erupted. That stage almost was destroyed just off that one win because a lot of people were like, damn, it's possible.
Yeah, lovely. But yeah, we're almost out of time, but just quickly, you know, you're signed to Goliath Gaming, and I just want you to quickly run us through, like, how has your experience been and how has it been just being under their wing and for the first time signing to a gaming org?
I mean, it's a weird feeling, you know, because when you get signed, when I got signed, when we were still in talks, you know, it's like I'm hearing them talk, but at the same time, I'm not hearing them. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, am I going to get paid for this? You know, am I going to be able to travel? Am I going to get all these benefits, getting laptops for this? You know, like, I was just like, it was a weird feeling, you know, but at the same time, I was like, okay, let me not let it get to me. I just need to keep elevating for where I am, you know.
Yeah.
And the team was there to say, okay, if you're elevating, we're behind you. You know, your resources were here. You know, like when for example, 2021, I lost one of our biggest opportunity versus one of the guys, Billy D. You know, the following month, I have to compete for another big opportunity. How do I get my head back in the game? The team had I think you call him a psychiatrist, right? His name is Steven.
Yeah,
he was there. He was there. We had sessions once a week. You know, tried to get my mindset back into it, to not let this thing hold me back. You know, so the team is there. You know, actively pushing you to reach where you want to be. You know, because the team can't push you if you don't want to go there.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I think it's such an amazing feeling when you have people, or more like a family, that kind of backs you in everything that you do. And I think that's the most important thing, especially in this industry. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been our time. Thank you so much for joining me, Jabbi. It's been an absolute pleasure having this chat with you, man.
No, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely amazing. But if you do want to catch him on socials or keep up with him, you can check him out at JabbiM on his socials on either X or Instagram. But that has been our time. Thank you so much for joining us. Stick around because we still have more of the show to come. Welcome back, folks. We're back with some gameplay action once again. What an amazing chat we had now with Jabbi. Truly an inspirational figure in the esports scene, and one that you can definitely look up to and see just how far he's come in the industry. Now it's time for our top play moment showcase. Top Play will feature and highlight the best moments we've witnessed in recent time in the local esports scene. This week's Top Play moment comes from our very own guest, Jabbi himself. A moment that'll go down in African esports history. The moment where Jabbi took down Takedo and won the hearts of many, completing the ultimate underdog story. Let's have a watch.
Interruption into nothing. He jumps out of the corner and is the pressure getting Takedo off the home ground. Is the noise making Takedo crack?
That definitely has to be a part of it. Jabbi still holding on. Going for their drive rush.
Jabbi comes back with the throw, levels up the life.
Great anti-air. Jabbi definitely controlling the airspace. Going for the drive it back, just too far away from the wall.
Punish on that.
Here. Great anti-air. Going for the drive rush, just trying to capitalize on the pressure. Takedo doing the same. Look. Going for the super.
Oh, level 3!
Is that going to be?
Is it gonna kill?
Let's go.
Is it gonna kill?
Does this kill? It goes! Jabbi with the bubble! Oh! Jabbi!
He made it! He made it!
Eliminating Takedo from Red Bull Kumite!
Have we just seen the greatest moment in the history of South African esports?
One moment, one word. Legendary. A lot may not understand, but this was a monumental moment and stepping stone for South African esports, where we put the world on notice of just what we possess locally in South Africa. And honestly, the Street Fighter 6 community are never shy to showcase and show up at these massive events. Now, let's chat gaming opportunities in your area. If you're interested in school esports, head on over to school.acgl.gg, get your school signed up and get involved. Or if you'd like more info or more insight, you can email us directly at schools@acgl.gg. For our university goers, head on over to uni.acgl.gg so you can start competing in our leagues today. Otherwise, if you're just interested in kickstarting your career and potentially want to see yourself competing and maybe even me interviewing you one day, well, head on over to acgl.gg and check out the wide variety of tournaments that we have available. We have Valorant, Call of Duty, Rocket League, so many to count. I don't have enough fingers for it. But if you want to get involved, head on over to those websites and check out what we have in store for you. But finally, if you're in Cape Town, this one is for you. For all our Cape Town schools, we have the next Kiro Esports LAN happening soon enough, which is going to take place on the 14th to the 15th of June. So if you're in the area and you want to get your school involved, head on over to schools.acgl.gg, get your school signed up and get involved and potentially see yourself competing at the next Kiro Clash LAN in Cape Town. But aside from that, that's going to be all I have for our opportunities for today. That's all she wrote for today's show, folks. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode of Gameplay. It's been an absolute honor and privilege to kickstart this new show. Remember, you can catch us on 216 on Supersport for the next show. Otherwise, you can also catch us on youtube.com/supersportschools for more of that action. I have been Skara, and this has been Gameplay. Game well, gamers.